Hello everyone, it's GigaBeef here, and today I'm going to show you how I ended up using this build to complete Punisher Part 6 in 12-12-30. Now, it might look like a complete mongrel, but I do have some rationale as to why this could work out well, so let's dive right in and find out. The SVD itself in Tarkov is in artificially high demand because of the task Punisher Part 6, which comes from Prapor and is probably the most valuable quest for standard account players because of the upgrade from the 4-slot Alpha container to the 8-slot Epsilon. To earn this though, as well as completing all the parts before it, we have to get 15 PMC kills with the SVD, which pushes the price for this gun up quite considerably. You can get a brand new one from Prapor 3 for just over 90k, as well as on the Flea market, although usually the 100% versions price close to the 90k mark too, and to get a discount you have to drop down to something under 70 durability. Sometimes you can get these down to even in the 50k's, which can be worth it if you're scrimping every last ruble, but personally I would try to stick to those with 60 durability or more at least if you want to go down this route. I was using one with 64 durability and didn't get a jam as we're not firing that many rounds, but your mileage may vary, and when the Flea is up closer to 80k for scuffed versions, it's probably worth just paying up the extra 15,000 for a pristine one. Okay, so looking at the default SVD from Prapor, very broadly speaking, there are two ways to mod this weapon. The standard configuration is with the upper band and the regular SVDS dust cover, the other one being the SAG Mark 1, which requires the other custom dust cover. As you can see, these parts are not compatible at all, so you have to remove some of them to get the other version to work. Min recoil is not really the focus of this video, but it's important to take a look just to get some context as to why we might go the other way with modding this gun. So we're going to quickly run through how to get to the lowest recoil. You need to use the suppressor, so you have the thread and then the suppressor, because there is no other muzzle combination for the SVD. Unfortunately, it hurts Ergo a lot. In terms of the handguard, on the upper band version, we can change this to the SVD modernized, and on top of that, there is actually something that you don't normally get, which is this rail here, which takes off a little bit of extra ergonomics. And this allows you to put an optic on the back too, and we can put on any rail that we need and add on the RK2. On the stock, what we're going to do is add the SVDS adapter. The best in slot for this is the MT crosshair, and on top of that is the PRS Gen 3. And then I guess we may as well change the pistol grip over to the AGS. And this gets us to 3 ergonomics and 82 vertical recoil, which is the best sort of typical build, I guess, is the way that you'd put it. You can, if you really wanted to, remove this, so you can add the NSPU instead, and that gets you to 71. But I wouldn't recommend this because this scope is basically unusable, and you can put a canted on, but it's only if you're kind of memeing. The other way around, so if we get rid of the regular dust cover and we get rid of the NSPU scope, we, instead of having the upper band, we go for the SAG Mark 1. Same philosophy, we put on a rail and the RK2, just to have a look at what this might be, and then we add the custom dust covers. This is a lot shorter, so that it fits with this gun, and that gets you to 9 ergonomics and 92 vertical recoil. So this SAG version gets you slightly better ergonomics at the expense of a little bit of recoil, and using the upper band version you can technically get to the lowest recoil possible for the SVD. The issue here is that these low recoil builds are incredibly expensive, extremely heavy, and practically no ergonomics. This affects the speed of raising the weapon as well as the amount of arm stamina that you have to hold the gun up to, and unfortunately, because in this patch endurance is notoriously hard to level up, arm stamina is actually a really big issue. Trying to min-max it as I normally would gets to 95 recoil and 26 ergo, but costs well over 200k to put together, and that's using a holographic only, and also includes parts that you don't get access to until Mechanic 4, like the advanced tube. Last patch I did use this style of SVD to get Punisher done outside on shoreline, but it can take a while and is really costly if you make a mistake. This time around was a bit different because I got locked behind Peacekeeper due to flash drives, so I decided to push on with Prapor earlier than normal. This meant that Punisher 6 came faster than usual and led towards finding something more budget conscious, and given recoil builds aren't really an option, going for super high aggro ergo is another potential way to play it. In fact, if you don't mod the SVD enough for recoil, then every time you shoot you lose sight picture regardless. The limit is about 100 recoil roughly speaking. The interesting thing about recoil compared within the same weapon is that it takes the same time to resettle to the center after a shot. The only difference between the two is that the muzzle moves higher on the worse build. So if we're committing to not spending too much, we lose sight picture either way, and the return to center time is the same between builds, so we may as well just not care about recoil at all and focus entirely on ergonomics. Enter the budget SVD blaster. So what we're going to do here is mod it as little as possible to get to the highest ergo that we can. So First and foremost, we're going to change over the default handguard over to the XRS-DRG because this allows us to have a vertical foregrip. And on here, we're going to use the Knights Armament VFG. You get no recoil points for this at all, but you get 7 ergonomics, which is actually one of the highest. And this is really, really, really cheap. In terms of pistol grips, we're going to change over from the standard one to the new TangoDown Battle Grip, which is actually really good in terms of how much it costs versus the amount of ergo that it gives you, so 7 more than the stock. Then on the stock itself, we're going to change over to the SVDS adapter because on here, we're going to do something completely unholy. Now, I was originally using the M7A1 PDW stock, which looks really, really goofy, but someone pointed out to me there's one that actually has even more ergo than that, which is the Viper PDW. You get another 3 ergonomics, which doesn't really look that much better, to be honest with you. But there we go. So this gets us already up to 61 ergo, which is pretty insane. Then to make this gun actually kind of usable, we changed the rear sight over to the TTO1. On top of this, you can put whatever optic you like. The one that I've been going with is the Burris. So we put the fast fire base on and then the Burris on top of that. And then also just for those close encounters, you're going to add a laser or flashlight. I've been going super cheap with the NC Star Blue laser, adding this on. And this is basically it. This is all you need to do. 59 ergonomics and 194 vertical recoil. Now, if you're going to build this yourself, you want to be using the assemble button, but I don't have it on any particular weapon right now. So we're still going to use find parts just so that we bring up everything. And we're going to look at traders just to isolate it. So we don't need to buy this or this. We did get this. We don't need the gas tube. We did buy this and this and this. We're going to exclude magazines just for the time being, but I'm just using the 10 rounders. We bought all of these parts and then we're going to buy the SVD separately to make sure that we get a good one. But I guess this is one from Prapor. So you can see that if we have one from Prapor, it's going to cost us 160k to do this build, which honestly isn't that bad. You could get a cheaper one of these. If you could manage to find an SVD for 50, 60k, you can see how you can make one for actually just over 100,000, which is very, very cost effective and is definitely one way to run it. I mean, I've been having fun with it at least. So this costs 66k on top of the original SVD and has 59 ergo. It's quite funny actually because a stock SVD has 180 recoil, so this is actually worse than when you get it from Prapor, who's presumably shaking his head at this abomination as we speak. In terms of ammo, I've been using T46 and I'll link my specific video about this at the end and my reasoning as to why. So what do we actually get for this? In terms of ADS speed, which I usually measure by taking an optic and ending the timer as soon as the reticle comes onto screen in any fashion, this gets us 14 frames for the quote-unquote good SVD build for 233 milliseconds versus 9 frames for our cheap one, equivalent to 150 milliseconds. But this doesn't tell the whole story because of the overswing on the lower ergo version, which is absolutely brutal and nearly takes an extra 40 frames to get back into the center. It's hard to measure this precisely because where you determine the end of the swing to be and what is aimable in this time is up for debate, but it's pretty clear just watching it how awful this feels in comparison. On arm stamina, here we get 29.3 seconds on the modded SVD versus 33 seconds on the budget version. This is actually not as much of a difference as I would have thought, but I guess it's primarily to do with the weight of the weapon. Our cheap build is still 5.76 kilos versus 6.43, so it's not actually that much different. Next up, we're going to look at this guy in action. As you might imagine, to get the most out of this weapon, you have to be quite aggressive with it, and some of these I combined with the Dorms kills in customs whilst running safes in the 2-story building. Because I don't think there's enough rounds at that threshold that really matter. Like, sounds like there's somebody down there. Question is, can I get into that room and do the right hand before I get drilled? Oh, it's a scav. I guess I should have known, because how could a other player be down there? Caught him. A 101 with 5.6A1 in it. You killed me, nice one, man. Hey man, how's it going? GG's, dude. GG's. You was using your build? You were using my build? Yeah, RVG, RRD, the MOE. Oh, dude, you used the whole thing, and the grip as well, and the butt pad, and then back to the EKP because it's like the nice cheap scope. I mean, obviously I approve of this build. Where's that going to be? Oh, it's right there. That's an interesting turn of events, isn't it? Time to camp it. Oh, it's just inside the compound. Interesting. Okay, it works.
Friendly.
We're in a little bit of a bad way here. Hammer on the head. What was that from? Was that from the pain? Yeah. There were like 4 pistolings. They must have been trying to complete the quest or something. Not sure if that was the just one. Yeah, he must have just sprinted it when he heard me running. Oh, RFB. Thank you, dude, for the donation to the RFB Society. It's very much appreciated. What's Scab Talk? Oh, it's the podcast that me and Church do, another Tarkov player. Airwing's editor, actually. If you know of Airwing Marine, Church edits his videos. Whoa! Someone else at the end of the corridor. Holy hell. Not a winning battle for me, I don't think. So, what's the deal here? You just push like crazy and try to win? I guess. 2 sets of people in here. Were they fighting, though? Could go to the end and go up through this one. This is actually probably the better way. Whoa! Was he on the right side, do you think? Close the door and shot through it. I'm genuinely not sure. I don't have an aid. I should have brought one, but I don't have one. Whoa! Oh, he's dead. Didn't think I was going to have time. Apparently I do. I mean, maybe we can leave. So next up, go and watch my 7.62x54R ammo video on why I ended up using T46M with this gun. Otherwise, as usual, a big shout out to all my patrons, hit all the buttons if you enjoyed the video, and as always, have fun in your raids.